Okay, so I'm about to start on the dog itself now. We're going to go zoom in and do the eyes, and then we're going to start putting in our underpainting. First thing I want to do though is just get, this is my glassine paper, which I always say to you guys, get it down onto your support, underneath your working hand at all times, and it just protects your drawing, especially it protects your free area over here, especially if you're working on something like white paper. Just see, I'm going to be doing the eyes, so I'm just going to bring it up to here, so that's going to sit nicely under my hand. As long as I put it down, actually I might put it at a little bit of an angle here. There we go. So it just means that, one, you're protecting your paper, two, you're not going to smudge all that hard work that you've put down underneath as well, and three, it does protect your hand a little bit as well, especially if you're working on a heavier sanded paper, because sometimes, like I say, you're rubbing like this all the time with your hand and you can start to graze that hand a little bit. I've also done my pencil selection here, so just bring it up. These are the pencils that I'm going to be using. Obviously I'm going to pull out the ones that I'm going to be using for the eyes to start with, popping those over here. Going with our highlight first of all as well. I might pull in a Pablo white, only because I do prefer it over my Polychromos white. But that's where we're going to start off with. Let me just get all my pencils at the ready. So that's all of our colours there in the Derwent Buddy, all ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in now and we're going to start work on these eyes up here. Okay, so we're going to start on the eyes now. Let me just zoom in a little bit so we've got a little bit more focus on the area we want to be in. So we're just going to be working on both eyes. So I've got my reference here. I'm just going to zoom in on here as well. Pop this up next to me. So in here we've got all the lovely browns and oranges. It's looking a little bit brighter on your screen than it is on mine. So I'm going to pop this up next to me, next to my drawing. And if you've done any of my eye videos, I do encourage you to do the actual eye tutorial videos, because when you zoom in on the eye, with these eyes here, if I bring up a pencil just to show you in relation, these eyes here are quite small, but we're still going to be trying to get in there all of those beautiful colours, highlights. We might edit them a tiny bit because there is a reflection in there of a building, which I don't really want. But if you've done those bigger tutorial videos of mine, then you'll understand why and how I'm seeing and getting so many colours into this, into the eye itself. So remembering that we did that indentation method to transfer our line drawing over, all I'm going to do first of all, I'm just using my dark indigo just to shade around this eye. Just lightly, again, do the pressure test do the pressure test video as well before you get going on the actual full tutorial. So just what I'm doing there, because I use that engraving method, indentation method, before I started, it's just meant that when I rub my pencil lightly over this area, it's making all of those shapes and lines that I put in instantly visible for me. Okay, so I've used the dark indigo there. I could have gone in with the black, just done it very lightly, but I don't want to muddy up my orangey shades that are going to go into my eye itself. And again, up here as well, remember we flipped the reference drawing up out of the way, so if you're unsure of which lines you put in where, you can just flick it back down again, keep it hinged to your drawing, and you can flick it back down at any point that you need to. So I'm going to go in next with my black. I just want to get in the shapes around the eye. what we do is really is, this is literally like colouring in. We want to get in there. And just lightly, lightly, lightly build. We're getting our tones and our values and our colours all in the right places. And then we can build and layer. Start to build the sheen and iron out the texture, the tooth of this paper. But like I say, I really do recommend that you attempt my bigger eye tutorials first. Just need to be careful on his pupil, because the pupil in the eye is actually reflecting a lot of that shadow, the shape of that building that's being reflected. Okay, so we go in first. Nice sharp pencils, you'll notice here. Let me just go in over the top of here with a little bit of my Indanthrine blue. Just over this top edge. A little bit over this side as well. Now I'm going to pop in my highlight. Let me just a tiny touch more over here, just to pull up those lines. There we go. So let's pop this highlight in here. And this is just the first layer. We're going to glaze over this with other colours, because it's going to look quite grainy when it first goes down. And I'm going to use this little technique. It's called Scumbling, and literally a nice light to medium pressure, and you're just going to apply your pigment with small circular motions. And I'm going to change direction as well, because this is quite a toothy paper. I want to make sure that I'm getting that pigment to go in to the tooth. In both directions, so it's filling that tooth up nicely. Okay, same on this side. I'm looking at this highlight on this side, it's even stranger with the reflection that's going on in the eye. So I am going to use a little bit of artistic license. There we go. Now I'm going to come in now, and I'm just going to strengthen up some of these areas that I know to be really dark around the edges. So I'm looking at this, there's some beautiful mauves, purples, deep blues going on in the fur already, or just around the eye itself. And you'll find on most animals, this upper lid, the area just under this upper lid, is usually one of the darkest areas on any animal. It's a real heavy shadow under there, so just, you know, be confident enough to pop it in there. Bring that around here. And again, we're going to glaze over the top. I just want to get it nice and dark under there. We'll glaze over the top with our Indanthrine blue. Little tinges in there. It's lovely. I can see tinges of this purple I've used for a support. I can see tinges of it in through. The ice around itself. So it's lovely. And use that to our advantage. So let's come over here. Yeah, I'm just lightly scumbling around this area, just pulling out some of those lines just to help us. Obviously, if you've done a transfer using the graphite paper, then you just follow the lines that your graphite paper's given you. By using this engraving technique, it sort of just works in reverse, that you need to apply a little bit of pigment over the lines that you've engraved in, just to bring them back up to the surface. When I go quiet on you, anyone, if you've watched my previous videos, it just means I'm concentrating. My eyes are flicking backwards and forwards to that reference all the time. Keep that eye flicking backwards and forwards. You'll see I put it in the written tutorials as well. I repeat it, sort of just keep flicking your eye backwards and forwards, because if not, you'll start drawing what you think is there, not what is actually there. Okay, so that's instantly helped us to sink that back. What I need to do, there's a highlight coming here, just over the top of that eye. So I'm just going to go in here. I need to put this line in of this eye there, because otherwise I'm just not getting the right shape up and over there. That's it. Just needed to pop that in. Much better. I can see where my outline is now. There we go. Right, so I'm going to just literally fill in that area now. So I'm going to keep my blue out. I have got a Prussian blue as reserve there, but I'm going to just work with my Danthrin blue first of all. So pop a little bit more up over here. A little bit down through here. Probably use my sky blue over there as well. Now I'm going to just, when you're doing the eyes, use a scumbling or you use a backwards and forwards motion, but always work from the outside of your eye in towards the pupil, or from the pupil out towards the outer edge of that eye, except you can obviously just draw around that outer edge there like that, but try not to draw circles or rings. So I'm literally just getting a little glaze of this colour down. Again, benefit of using the Pastelmat, we can put lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of layers on here. Okay, so it'll look quite flat to start with, and then we'll start to glaze and build up our tones, ignoring any of the texture or anything that looks like texture in there, so the flecks for the moment. I've got sky blue, just going to pop a tiny touch of the sky blue in here. And over on this side. Okay, so next I have got my Caput Mortem. I'm going to come in here to this pupil. I'll be bringing some dark indigo in here as well. See, I'm still using that motion where I'm working from the pupil outwards or from the outer edge inwards. This little line here, it's sort of, I'm wiggling it, I'm just breaking up that black that we popped down originally. But what I'll do as well is I'm going to pull in the dark indigo to do that as well a little bit more. It gets quite dark up in this corner area. But we want to just make sure we've got a nice sharp outline. Because the eye comes up past this point, the eyeball itself, we've actually got the eyeball there, and we've got the lid here over the top, and the lid is casting a shadow down over the eyeball. So this dark area is not all skin, it is actually the top of the eyeball itself. Lost my reference image. Let me just pull it back. It's me trying to do things with the wrong fingers, that's why. Okay, so coming over to this side. Same up here, we've got dark indigo-y edge. Tiny touch of this. And down through blue there as well. Little hint of the Xanthrum blue coming all the way down around that side there. We want a Caput Mortem coming up here. I'll bring in the Caput Mortem Violet as well down here. Just needs to go a tiny bit darker. See here where it might not be light enough. No, I'm coming with a slightly lighter grey there. This will be too light, but I just want to pull back in a little hint of that lid there. Lovely. I'm not working this fur, I'm just literally, this is helping me. I'm creating shapes, so if I put in a little bit of light around there, it means I can now go back in with my dark and correct that shape up there. Just need it to lift. shadow it there a tiny bit more. We'll work that a little bit more when we come to doing the fur. And then I just want to check that angle there. That should be coming up there at that angle. That's fine. Not sure what's going on with my reference today. It's just deciding to change direction now. Thank you. Okay. One of those technical glitches. Okay, so I'm going to come in around here now with, this is the Caput Mortuum Violet, which is slightly darker and cooler than the Caput Mortuum itself. I'll bring in the dark indigo into this little bit next, and then I'll bring back the highlight as well. Just little movements. I'll use this dark, this Caput Mortuum Violet up through here as well. Like I say, I'll bring in the dark indigo as well. So if you see a dark area, you don't want to go in there and just, apart from we've done that heavy lid obviously by popping in some black, but if you see a dark area, say on the pupil, you don't want to go in there with black. You want to go in there with that underlying shade, and it's usually, I usually go to my dark indigo and my Caput Mortuum Violet. Okay, so I need to just brighten up my highlight a little bit more again now, because it seems to have lost a little bit, so I'm just going to come back in here. Just brighten this up a little bit. Dancer in Blue back down again. We've actually got a hint of the lash shadow coming down here as well, so some little tiny hints of the lashes there. Like sky blue again. Here now, this is where that building's reflected. I'm just going to try and soften it off a little bit so it's not just too harsh a shape. So I'm just going to round it off a little bit. Obviously you can choose to do whatever you like in there. Coming over this side now as well, just strengthen up again. Let's try to eliminate some of that really harsh building shape in here. Need to sharpen up this pencil a little bit as well. Bear with me whilst I just do that a second. As soon as you start to lose the tip, just keep them nice and sharp in here. A tiny little bit I need to tie back on. I'm going to just tighten up that black as well. Okay, that's better. a little touch of that in Dance in Blue. So I'm just repeating what I did on the eye on this side. Sometimes I do one eye at a time and then I move across, but for this one I'm just doing both of them at the same time. Still quite a gentle touch here I'm using. Okay, so pulling that indigo again now. Now we should here in this corner, that coming up there like that. That's better. And what I'm going to do, a little touch more, is I could put Morton Violet in here where the darkest area is. Over to this side the same. Dark indigo in here for the little flecks. Now I've got a cadmium orange. Let me just check it. A cadmium orange, which I'm going to pull in, which just really gives a nice lift to a couple of areas. More glaze back over it as well, just to soften it back. I use it on a lot of my eyes. Mixed with, say, like the burnt ochre. Just gives a lovely, nice hit to those amber brown eyes, usually found in dogs. Okay, so I can soften that back now with my burnt ochre. I'm starting to feel a lovely build up of the pigment now as well. And that's simply all the secret is really with the eyes, especially by doing them on the pastel mat. It's just gradually building all of the layers, and glazing and building to create not only the smoothness on the pastel mat itself, but also by laying like your darker colours, so your dark indigos, and that could put Morton Violet down underneath. You can then create your flecks over the top. So I'm going to go in now. I've actually got one pencil I haven't actually got out. Where are you? There we go, good. So I've got the ivory. I sometimes use the cream, which is a yellowish colour, and I'm also going to use over here, I've got a warm grey. This is a warm grey 2. So I'm going to start to highlight. Use it for some of the lighter highlights. I'm just doing little wiggles with my pencil now. just to highlight some of those areas of the eye. It gives it like that mottled effect as well. I think you'll find this much easier actually if you stick to what you can see in that reference drawing rather than trying to eliminate that building and the reflection like I'm trying to do. So now it's just a case of just going back in, repeating all those little things that we've done already. Over here, I'll use the dark indigo. There's a little hint of lashes coming down here. I might need to pull in. I've got a Verithin pencil which is slightly harder. See, I've gone quiet again, concentrating. Okay, so I'm creating some of that underlying mottledy effect now again, using the dark indigo over this side. I will then bring in a little touch of Caput Mortem. And my burnt ochre. Right, I'm using this ivory now down here, very gently, where I've got the lightest part of that eye. A little bit too much gone down there. So I'll go back in over the top with my ochre, and you'll just find it will mix and blend. And then a little touch in there of that cadmium orange will just lift it even more. Okay, now we want in here a little highlight, same as we did on the other side, using that warm grey. Soften some of that highlight up there as well. see how many times we've gone over this area, just pretty much repeating what we did before, but each time just making it a little bit more refined. Every time you lose a hint of one colour, like say we've lost a little hint of that indanthrene blue up there, we just come back and we pop it back in again. Okay, so mottle a little bit more of this down through here. I'm using all the same pencils still that we started off with, back with a put Morton Violet here. And now a little hint of the ivory coming up around this inner corner. Again, I'm going to pop a little bit more back in over on this side. Now if you look closely, you'll see around this outer edge just a little hint of that grey. Now, sharpen up that white again, so it's nice, as sharp as it will go. Take this back out over here. Okay, so in here we've got a super sharp couple of little highlights to pop in. Again, sometimes I'd go in and use my Pablo for that, because it is a slightly brighter white than my Polychromos. There we go. And the same on this side, we've got little highlight. Let me just take it all back to dark again over here as well. Okay, so here we've got a slight hint of that highlight there, and then we've got it along. Lid there, probably a little bit too far over. That's fine, we just take it back out again. That's better. And that pretty much is our eyes done for now. We'll come back once we're working around the outer area. I might actually start on the portrait rather than starting on the ears and working my way down. I might actually just come out on the eyes a little bit more before we get going. But I'm probably just going to colour block in all over, to be honest. And then just start to build the layers with the Polychromos. But that is pretty much the eyes done for now. Okay, so if I zoom out, let's take away my reference first. So if I zoom out, then we'll see, hopefully, there's the eyes in place.